I've just been talking to myself this whole time. Keep forgetting to click start stream on YouTube if you scheduled it before. Well, starting a bit earlier, gonna wait for people to show up, and exactly in 12 minutes we're gonna start saying MoistCr1tikal 5,000 times. Yesterday I did 2,000, which took me 25 minutes. This we may, like, I can try to get sub 1 hour, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be pretty challenging to do that. But I'll try. Hello, Cherry BXMB. So also made a Discord. It's in a description because people been asking for me to create a Discord, so that's what I did. It's pretty basic because I don't really know how to make one, but yeah. So again, we're gonna start counting in 11 minutes. My hair is all messed up, man. Jesus. Don't really know what to say. I'm not a streamer. At least not a good one. How's your day going, Cherry? Yeah, so we are starting soon. I see I have 7 viewers now, which is a lot, so I guess I'm just going to be repeating that. Starting at exactly in 9 minutes now. I will try to get sub hour. I don't know if I'll be able to get it though. It's pretty tough. It gets harder and harder with each time I say it. But since it's a speedrun category, I have to do it. I have to try to do it in under an hour. Yo, hello, Jorn. I have no idea how to pronounce that. And hi, Hyper. I do like tongue exercises for this. It's moisting time. Yeah. Hello, Brianna. Hi, Jake. Oh yeah, I'm getting some more people here. I guess I'm gonna say it again. I'm starting in 8 minutes, so just waiting for more people to show up, and then we start exactly in 8 minutes. And I've also made a Discord server if anyone wants to join, because people yesterday asked for a Discord server, so I made one. It's not a good one, but it is something. You can ask me some questions there when I'm off stream and stuff like that, or you can just talk between each other. It's a friendly counting community. I love you too, Pug. I've seen you commenting a lot. Whew. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard. So guys, how are you doing today? Should I put like a music on the background while I'm counting, or should it just be nothing on? I don't know, like funk. I think funk is pretty good. Nah, I think it just should be plain counting without anything else. Yeah, I'm good. I'm actually been excited for this stream. I'm a bit weird with all this counting thing. I have to shave. Don't like, it's like been a week. Don't like this stuff on my face. Okay, so starting in, actually I guess we can start now. Start at 55. It's a lot of people here. I don't think more people's gonna show up. Maybe, I mean, probably they will, but I'm gonna be actually streaming. But yeah, let's go, guys. It's time. I'm gonna try to get it in under an hour, but yeah. Some more tongue exercises. It's always so scary to start. Okay, let's go. MoistCr1tikal, 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 sorry, I think I clicked twice. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. I watched Has Been Hotel. MoistCr1tikal. Ruben, it depends. MoistCr1tikal, 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 most credit cards. MoistCr1tikal, MoistCr1tikal, MoistCr1tikal. Most critical, 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 most critical. Oh my god. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCritical, 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 most critical, 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 most critical. Oh my god, we are at 1,000. So far on the pace for sub-hour. Little break. Most predictable. Noise critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Will MoistCr1tikal notice you? I don't know. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 moist 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 critical. Good job, bro. Thank you. Moist critical, moist critical, moist critical, moist critical, moist critical, moist critical. Moist critical, 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 moist critical. Oh my god, thank you for the donation. I'll read the message later. Thank you so much, man, for $5. Moist critical, 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 moist critical. Moist critical, 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 moist critical. Moist critical, 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 moist my spirit call. Moist critical, 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 moist critical. Moist critical, moist critical, moist critical, moist critical, moist critical, moist critical, moist critical. Jesus, it's getting so hard. Moist critical, 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 moist critical. Moist critical, moist critical, moist critical, moist critical, moist critical, moist critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Jesus, man. MoistCr1tikal, 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 you make the best content on the whole platform. Thank you. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. I do read all the comments, so there is a chance I can say that. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Thank you, Ruben. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 critical. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. You said MoistCr1tikal instead of making fun of me. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 daily throat of pain, daily dose of pain, MoistCr1tikal, 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 critical, MoistCr1tikal, 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 critical, MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Jesus. I swear he had 200 subs 3 days ago. He's doing so well. Yeah, I'm getting subs pretty fast. It's insane. Okay, we're on pace. Sub hour, man. I just can't. I need to take a break. I don't think I'll get sub hour. We're on pace right now, but it's so hard. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 Jesus. MoistCritical, 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 what the fuck kind of solitary confinement ass room is that? MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. I'm a minimalist. I don't like having anything in my room. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCr1tikal, 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 yeah, it might be cool. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. It's hard, man. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Jesus. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Thank you, Cloud, so much for the subscription. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Jesus, man. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. I have a Discord, it's in the description. MoistCr1tikal, MoistCr1tikal, MoistCr1tikal. Oh, are you talking about someone else? Okay, never mind. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Yo guys, be chill. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Okay, 3,000, Jesus. How much for you to add me on Discord? I have Discord for free in the description. Oh, there's a bunch of people joined already. Just send an invite to Edge. You don't have to pay me. What the fuck? Okay. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Thank you, Hoodie Guy, for the subscription. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Yeah, I'm trying to go sub-hour. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. I'm dying. It's not easy. MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. I guess up by second. Yeah, I'll try. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. Can you make Amazon wish list and open to that? I don't know. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. I think that's asking too much from you guys. I don't really. That's too much. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. The only thing I can say is spam in MoistCritical's chat right now that I'm doing this. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. Let's go daily. Yes, I'll try to get sub 1 hour. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. I should add like a heart rate monitor. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. Yeah, because I can read the comment. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. So not 100% chance. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Charlie needs to see this. Yes, spam in the chat. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. I need to take a sip of water. My lips are dry and throat is hurting, but I'll do it. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. Oh my god, 17 viewers. Thank you guys so much for watching. 19! Jesus. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 best channel on the internet. Thank you. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. MoistCritical, 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 critical, most 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 critical. Oh my god, man, I'm sweating. I'm actually red. I'm so hot. Jesus. What is going on? I'm so hot. Okay, we gotta get this sub 1 hour. I need to drink water. My throat is dead. Okay. Most critical, 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 most critical MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. Again, my throat. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. That's lean, by the way. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. I will be going to 10K soon. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. He's keeping different language now. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCritical, critical. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCritical, 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 MoistCritical. I don't know what to do. It's so painful, man. MoistCritical, 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 Critical, MoistCritical, 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 MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. What's the price? I'm the only one doing this shit. I'm the only one. MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. My guess is the world record. MoistCr1tikal, 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 Critical, most 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 most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 definitely not English. Most critical, most critical, most critical, most critical. Most critical, most critical, most critical, most critical, most critical, most critical. That's the gamer stance. Posture check, by the way. Most critical, 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 most critical. Yeah, the most critical language. Most critical, 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 most critical. 300 more, come on, man. Most critical, 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 most critical. 23 people watching. Thank you so much. Most critical, oh my god, most critical, most critical, most critical, most critical. I think I said one extra, so most. Now, most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most critical. Most critical, 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 most at 58, most critical, 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 MoistCr1tikal, 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 MoistCr1tikal. It's 58. Jesus. Oh my god, man. I'm sweating. I'm so hot, man. It's like I have a temperature. Like, I mean, my temperature is high. Jesus. That was the most intense thing I've ever done in my life. An hour working out in the gym does not even closely compare to this. Oh my god. My throat, man. My lips are so dry. I was licking them the whole time. Sub hour. Now, challenge you guys to beat it. That's almost 2 MoistCr1tikals per every second. That's the world record time. Okay, let me read the donation. There was a donation and I didn't see the message because it was too intense. Most credit cards suck. Love the content. Could you tell Hootie to go get a job and buy a pine phone, please? Oh my god, man. Jesus. Bro is exercising his vocal cords and now it's gonna get a powerful voice. Yeah. Gonna get a deep voice. I was watching since around 2800. Yeah. I mean, this is really hard. Yesterday I did 2000 and today I did 2000 even faster. I think it took me 23 minutes instead of 25. If YouTube doesn't put this in YouTube Rewind, I'm gonna be mad. Well, I'm gonna be counting, I'm gonna be saying more stuff later on too. Like, I'm gonna be streaming every day, pretty much the same time. So like, subtract an hour, and that's the time I'm gonna be streaming at. So at my place at Canada, it's 11 p.m. So I'm gonna be streaming every day at 11 p.m. my time. I made a Discord because people asked me to, so there's a Discord. Why do I do this? That's the great question. I don't know. I just thought it was fun, and when I had people commenting positive things, it just made me happy. So that's why I'm keeping doing it. Charlie needs to make a video on this. This is wild. I'm gonna, next one is gonna be Charlie saying MoistCr1tikal 10,000 times. Then it's gonna be around 20, 50, and then 100,000. If by then no one notices me, I'm gonna be not mad, but still, I'm gonna do 100,000 I think soon. But for now, I think I'm done with MoistCr1tikal for a bit. I'm gonna do it a bit later. I'm gonna do the counting because I have to keep up on my counting. I only did counting to 1,000, so I have to do like 5k or 10k or something. And counting is harder than saying someone's name because it's much more longer and more complex. So it's actually the funniest thing is that much love for the Philippines. Thank you. I practice this. Like, I walk around the house or I walk outside and I just practice saying numbers. It's so weird. I feel like I'm losing it. I'm slowly going insane with this channel. I'm definitely going to be counting to 100,000. I don't know when. I'm just slowly building up to it, you know. I have to practice because it's not like I'm doing it like Mr. Beast did it. He didn't really care about the time. He did try to say it as fast as possible, but to get over it. But I'm actually like trying to care about the time more. So since it's like more of a like a speed run type thing, you know. Yeah, so there's a Discord in the description. Oh, a bunch of people joined. Jesus, how many people is that? Noel, Rogue, Niklas. Damn, a lot of people joined. That's just the basic Discord that I have. I don't really, it's not really like good. I just took a template to delete a couple channels because I'm not good at making that stuff. I'm pretty bad. Bro, hear me out. Do a 72-hour stream, only say MoistCr1tikal 50 million times, right? So then he's the kicker. You're eating octopus suction cups the whole time. I don't know what I just read. If it makes you feel better, I found out about the stream from a chatter in MoistCr1tikal's current stream. Yeah, because I've asked people to spam in his chat. It's funny. The actual world record is 1 million. Go for 2. I don't know. Well, this is definitely a world record, right? I don't think there was a bum that ever said MoistCr1tikal 5,000 times on video and uploaded it on YouTube. Yeah, let me put in live chat. Look at my channel, man. I made you a video. I don't see. Oh wait. How do I look at the channel? Go to channel. You did it, man. Okay. Daily County Victory Corn Dogs. What is that? Okay, wait. I missed a bunch of chats. Wait. No, this is world record. I was doing it for like 10 minutes straight. He would be asleep. He would be sleep deprived with 2 million. Yeah, I would probably die. How do you feel after completing? I feel, I guess, all right. It's just my throat that's really hurting, and I feel kind of sick, but it's fine because I was really going like trying to go fast because I had to get like at least 2 MoistCr1tikals in like I think 0.7 or 0.8 seconds. I think the chatters had it right. So yeah, it was pretty intense. Had to get it to 1 hour. Now I don't know if I'm pushing your limits, but can you say Philippines 1,000 times? I might. Oh, actually, same countries. There was one guy yesterday. I don't remember his nickname, but he said I should like buy a bag of rice and then count each grain in that bag. I think that can be a good content. Oh, it's you, Joshua. I didn't buy it yet, but I probably will do it. Yeah, 20 hours. I mean, I don't think I'll be able to keep it up for 20 hours, like the same pace. I don't think that's possible. So it definitely had going to be more. So it's going to be like, I don't know, 30, I'd say. 30 hours is more realistic. I have received the victory corn dogs. The end is near. That's creepy. Imagine me just saying that.
The end is near.
Gotta hydrate. I'm dumb. I didn't bring water. I have Sprite, and it's sparkling, right? So it even messes up my throat more. So I don't think that was a good idea. I should have brought like actual water, not even cold, like somewhat warm. That was me. Okay, that was you, Joshua. Yeah, I'll do it. I don't know when, but I will do it. Count the sand in Sahara. I don't. There's more sand pieces than people, than I think galaxies or something. Isn't there like isn't that a fact? Yeah, I might, like, if I do ever do that, I might smash the whole thing. Still have 1,000 here for this man turned into Venom. Yo, didn't know you were Megatron. 10,000 in an hour and a half. I don't think that's possible. It's like you have to say, because like 1 minute is 60 seconds, right? And oh, 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 is realistic. 2.5 is pretty realistic. Yeah, I think I'll be able to do 2.5. His entirely different throat structure with how much he has counted. Yeah. How does actually I want to hear how it sounds in stream. Venom. It probably sounds cringe. It's definitely not how I sound regularly. Yeah, it does sound cringe. Damn, I have such a long delay. I have to fix that. It's like 5 seconds or something, even more probably. Okay, let me... Texas. That's probably was in 0.25. Say I like root beer 100 times by playing 5-finger fillet? What? I don't know what that means, man. People asked me yesterday to do gaming content, and the only games I play is like Souls type games. So I might play Elden Ring and do some sort of challenge and count my death. The idea I had is for each death I have in Elden Ring, I would do a video, and for each death I would count 1,000 more. So let's say I died 10 times during the whole playthrough of Elden Ring, I would do counting to 10,000. If I died 100 times, I would be counting to 100,000, and so on. Just wait until the sponsorships come and make him count their brand name for 1,000 times. Just say honey, 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 or something else. Raid Shadow Legends, Raid Shadow Legends. Yeah, so as I said, I'm going to be streaming tomorrow at the same time. And every other day, I think I'm just going to be streaming every day. I just don't have that much time. So the only time I can stream is at night. So yeah, guys, I don't really know what else to say. I don't. If you have any questions, you can ask, but I'm probably going to be ending soon. How many people joined the Discord? 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Damn, 16 people. That's insane. That is insane. Tongue twister. Oh, I'm so bad at those. Woo, yeah, baby. Oh, there's a bunch of chats there. Say credit card info 200 times next. I don't know what it is. Is that you that were typing yesterday about credit card info? Why do you want my credit card info so bad, man? You won't be able to get a lot out of it. I don't have commands here. The Discord is in the description. Oh my god. Yeah, more people are joining, but I already finished, so. Okay, 5-finger fillets. Replacing the palm of one's hand down on table with fingers apart. Oh, that game. Okay. Oh yeah, I did that. I did that in school when I was like 5 with the real knife. That was in Ukraine though, so that was I guess fine, Because I know that in, I mean, because I've studied here, but in Canada or America, if you bring a knife to school, you're probably gonna get arrested. Say the longest word. Yeah, I actually went to do that. I found that there's longest word in English. It's like some sort of like acid or whatever. Nuno, mono, ultra, microscopy, covolcaniosis or something. Yeah, I probably can do that. Am I a Makima fan? Yes. I mean, not a fan, but I'm just. I had before Melania on. Oh, that's subscription. Yeah. 3 rats in a suit. Thank you for the subscription. I watched Chainsaw Man. I think it's one of the best anime. A chemical called Titan or something like that. Pretty informative. I'm dumb. I don't even know how I passed high school. I mean, high school in Canada was so easy compared to like Ukrainian. I think everything that I've learned up until grade 9 in Ukraine, I just used up until grade 12 in Canada, and it was enough. I didn't study like at all in all of my subjects. So I was mostly just like playing video games and skipping classes. Which I don't think is a good thing, but oh yeah, people are banished from Earth. You smell kind of bad. Ah, John Smith. Yeah, you just barely missed it. I finished it like 5 minutes ago. Actually, more, like 10. Yeah, my lips are so dry after this. I'm gonna shave now, I think. Should have just counted yourself out of high school. That would have worked. I mean, imagine just a kid sitting like in the back seat counting all the time. Just like pure mad lad counting without a stop. Writing numbers on his like paper or whatever. Oh. Posture check, boys. Jesus. Do you hear the cracking? Oh my god. I'm dying. What the fuck? That is so loud. Pass school by counting 3 million. But he's counting under his breath and you're in the seat in front of him. Yeah. Into this creepy ass kid. Damn, people are still here. 20 people. I thought everyone was gonna leave. I'm just talking, but wow, wait, how many subs do I have right now? Let me reload the page. 914, so getting like 10 subs during this stream. Yeah, that's crazy. Woo, yeah, baby! He just got scoliosis from how much his back just popped. I mean, I always do that. Check Discord. We don't need to check like a chatting section or memes or whatever. If someone wants to be like a moderator on the Discord, tag me in a message and say I want to be a moderator. I'll probably pick one, and because I don't think I'll be moderating the channel. Like as often. Oh, suggestion. Crack your joints 100 times. I don't... Oh, actually, wait. Where is it? I think it's my finger and a leg. I can crack it like infinitely. Yeah, I'll pick one later. I'll pick a mod later. Say I'm being held at gunpoint and I'm being forced to count against my will every single day 1,000 times in 1 hour. Damn. Crack my elbows? I don't really know how to do that. Damn, my throat is still hurting. I think I'm gonna go make some tea after the stream. Ankle. Yeah, I can only, I think, crack my finger on my toe. I think that, yeah, I think that's my toe that I can crack. Don't remember. Drink 500 cups of water. I would die. I think 10 liters is the threshold, right? I think if you drink like 10 liters, you die. So that would be pretty devastating. Have voting and all the suggestions. I don't, how do you do voting? I'm really bad with Discord. I don't really know. Yeah, so I think it's my left or right. I don't remember. No, you're built different. Oh, thank you. We can drink that. Oh, that's about water. No, I think I'll die. I can maybe drink. Wait, 100 cups. How much is that? If, just 1 cup. So let's say 1 cup is 250 milliliters. So let's say 100 cups in a liter would be 23 liters. So I'll still die. Yeah, see you, man. Thank you for tuning in. Room tour when? That's literally my entire room. I can turn. I have the only cool thing I have in my room is this. It's like Dota 2 baby Roshan thing. You get from donating you get from getting level 2000, I think, in the battle pass. That's the only cool thing I have. Otherwise, it's just empty. It's just a drawer there. That's it. Yeah, it's literally an attic. It's a second floor. Well, okay, boys. Thank you for watching. I'll stream tomorrow too. Thank you so much for all your donations, subscriptions, and yeah, see you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna be uploading videos too. Thank you. Have a good night.